Hey! This is Mr. Poddable. In this gripping episode, Jack faces the chilling reality of the network's hidden stronghold. With the stakes higher than ever, he and his new ally, Riley, infiltrate a desolate factory that harbors the secrets of the architect. As the walls close in and danger lurks at every turn, the clock is ticking. Will they uncover the truth behind the network's ominous plans, or will they fall victim to the labyrinth of deception? Get ready for a heart-pounding journey as Jack delves deeper into the abyss, where every step could be their last. The morning sun barely penetrated the grimy windows of my temporary lodging. As I stood at the edge of the bed, the events of the previous night felt like a jigsaw puzzle with too many missing pieces. Emily and I had escaped, but the shadow of the factory's destruction loomed large over us. My phone buzzed with a new message, shaking me from my troubled thoughts. The message was a single line: "Meet me at the old docks. I have something you need to see." I didn't recognize the number. Was it a trap? Or was it someone who could help untangle the web of deceit surrounding Emily and me? With nothing to lose, I grabbed my jacket and headed out, my mind swirling with doubts and fears. The old docks were a ghostly remnant of a once bustling industrial past. The air was thick with the scent of salt and decay, and the creaking of rusted metal against the wind was the only sound that accompanied my steps. I approached the meeting point, a dilapidated warehouse on the edge of the pier, feeling the weight of every step. Inside, the place was dark and musty. I called out, "Hello? Anyone here?" A shadow emerged from the darkness, and I barely made out the figure of a man who looked like he had stepped out of a noir film. He was tall, with a weather-beaten face and a heavy coat. He introduced himself as Sam, and his voice carried the gravelly tone of someone who had seen too much. "I'm the one who sent the message," Sam said, stepping into a sliver of light from a cracked window. "I know about the games you've been playing." I was immediately on guard. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" Sam held up a folder, which he dropped onto a nearby crate. "Inside this folder is everything you need to know about the network behind the Shadow Games. It's more than just a few bad actors, it's an entire organization with connections everywhere." I opened the folder. Inside were photographs, documents, and a list of names. My eyes scanned over the pages, recognizing some of the names as people who had crossed my path in the past months. "Why are you helping me?" I asked, still suspicious. Sam's gaze was steady. "I was once part of their operation. I got out, but not before I learned too much. I need to make sure their plans don't come to fruition. And right now, you're my best chance at stopping them." Just as I was processing this new information, a sudden, sharp noise shattered the tense atmosphere. The door to the warehouse burst open, and a group of armed men stormed in, their faces obscured by masks. Sam immediately shoved the folder into my hands. "Go. They're after me, not you," Sam shouted. I hesitated for a moment, then turned and ran, clutching the folder to my chest. The dock area was chaotic, the eerie silence now replaced by the frantic sounds of my escape. I darted between the rusty stacks of shipping containers, the men's shouts growing louder behind me. My heart pounded in my chest as I found a narrow alley that led away from the docks. I stumbled into a deserted side street, breathing heavily. I glanced at the folder, realizing that it contained the key to unraveling the entire conspiracy that had ensnared Emily and me. The stakes had just escalated. With every step I took, I knew the danger was growing. But I also felt a renewed sense of purpose. I had to decode the information, find the missing pieces, and confront the people who had turned our lives into a dangerous game. As I glanced over my shoulder, ensuring I wasn't being followed, I realized that this was just the beginning. The network was vast, and the deception ran deep. And as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the city, I knew that the real fight was yet to come. I was about to dive headfirst into a world of deadly secrets and ruthless betrayal. The journey ahead was fraught with peril, but I was ready to face it all for the truth, for Emily, and for my own survival. I leaned against the grimy wall of the alley, taking a moment to catch my breath. The adrenaline coursing through me made every second feel like an eternity. The folder I clutched felt like a ticking bomb in my hands, holding secrets that could either save or condemn us all. I took a quick glance through the documents. There were names, code names, and cryptic symbols scattered across the pages. But it was the photographs that caught my attention. Faces I recognized, faces that had appeared in the background of various events, shadowy figures who seemed to pull the strings from behind the scenes. One photo in particular stood out, a man with piercing eyes and an aura of authority. His name was listed as the architect, and it was clear from the documents that he was the mastermind behind the network's operations. He was a ghost, Someone who manipulated events from the shadows, his identity carefully guarded and his motives inscrutable. My phone buzzed again, and I almost jumped out of my skin. The message was brief but urgent. "They know you're out there. They know you have the folder. Get to the safe house now." I didn't recognize the number, but desperation made me heed the warning. I quickly scanned the document for any clues about where the safe house might be. The address was buried in a set of coordinates, which I quickly entered into my phone's GPS. The safe house was located in an abandoned part of town, a place I had never been before. The cityscape outside was a blur of lights and shadows as I navigated the empty streets, my nerves frayed. The urban decay mirrored my own sense of unraveling sanity. The sense of being pursued, of being watched, was almost palpable. Every flicker of a streetlight, every echo of footsteps felt like a potential threat. When I finally arrived at the safe house, it was a dilapidated building with boarded-up windows and a rusted door. I approached cautiously, my senses on high alert. The last thing I needed was to walk into another trap. Inside, the safe house was surprisingly well maintained, a stark contrast to its exterior. The room was sparsely furnished but functional, with a large table in the center covered in maps, blueprints, and more documents. A single lamp cast a harsh light over the table, illuminating the scattered papers. A figure emerged from the shadows, a woman with a determined expression and sharp eyes. She introduced herself as Riley, a former intelligence operative with ties to the network but no longer aligned with them. She had been tracking their activities for years, trying to dismantle their operations from the inside. Riley wasted no time. "We don't have much time. The network will be coming after you, and if they find out about the folder, it'll be the end of both of us." She began sifting through the documents I had brought, her fingers flying over the pages. "The architect is planning something big, something that will shake the foundations of power in this city. If we don't act fast, everyone we know could be caught in the crossfire." I was about to ask for more details when the sound of a distant explosion rattled the windows. My heart raced. Riley's face hardened as she grabbed a folder from a hidden compartment. "We need to move. They're making their move. The architect is accelerating his plans." We left the safe house, making our way through a labyrinth of back alleys and hidden routes. Riley's knowledge of the city's underbelly was invaluable, guiding us through areas I didn't even know existed. Every step was a gamble, every corner a potential ambush. The final destination was an old, abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. Riley explained that it was a known hub for the network's operations, a place where they conducted their most secretive meetings. We needed to get inside, find the core of their operations, and gather enough evidence to expose them. As we approached the factory, a sense of foreboding settled over me. This was it, the final confrontation with the forces that had turned our lives into a deadly game. The factory loomed ahead, dark and foreboding, its silhouette a stark reminder of the danger we were about to face. Riley handed me a small, sophisticated device. "This will help us get past the security systems. But once we're in, we'll be on our own. Be ready for anything." I nodded, my mind racing with the weight of what was about to happen. The factory doors creaked open, and as we stepped inside, I could feel the atmosphere shift. The air was thick with tension, and every shadow seemed to hide a potential threat. The journey had led me to this moment, and as I glanced over at Riley, I knew there was no turning back. The battle against the network, the fight for truth and survival, was about to reach its climax. But as we moved deeper into the heart of the factory, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The architect had been one step ahead of us, and the true scope of his plan was about to unfold. We were entering the lion's den, and the stakes had never been higher. With every step, the sense of impending danger grew, and I braced myself for whatever lay ahead. The final showdown was upon us, and the outcome would determine not only our fates but the future of everyone involved. The journey to this point had been fraught with peril, and as I looked at Riley, I knew that our next move would be crucial. The final chapter of this deadly game was about to be written, and the conclusion was uncertain. What lay ahead was shrouded in mystery, and as the factory's ominous machinery loomed in the shadows, I knew that the endgame had begun. As Jack and Riley navigate the treacherous confines of the factory, the tension reaches a fever pitch. Each discovery uncovers new layers of the architect's sinister plans, but also drags them further into a web of danger and deceit. Just as they seem to be piecing together the puzzle, a harrowing twist threatens to unravel everything they've worked for. As they face an unexpected betrayal and confront the shadows of their past, the very foundation of their mission is at stake. With the walls closing in and the stakes soaring higher, Jack must confront the ultimate test of his resolve and ingenuity. Will they escape the labyrinth unscathed, or will this be the final, fatal chapter in their relentless pursuit of truth? Brace yourself for the next episode, where the hunt for the architect reaches a thrilling climax and secrets long buried come to light. Thanks for listening, stay curious, stay awesome, and as always, keep it Poddable. See you in the next episode.